Is it wrong? Just 'cause I'm right doesn't mean I'm wrong. Long for wrong. As for my likes, you've been silent in every possible bing, bang, clink, clang. Unfound knowledge, I don't know when, how, this is, I know. Trash bag. All it went was la la, all it went was la 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 la, all it went was la la, all it went was la 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 la.
Testicles, testicles. 1, 2. That's right. Meaningful Times with Friends. We are back. This is episode, I don't know. It's been a while, I think. Time is really a construct. But we are back. Me and Dave, Nathan Nation, Spoolie D, Merely Jason, and we got some things to talk about. Anything off the top of your heads, guys, you want to say?
Gee, I feel like it's been long enough that no apologies are necessary.
Not true. We do have apologies, man. I know it's been a minute. I don't know if anybody cared. I really did not get any messages from that many people just like, hey, what the hell, man? As much as we had a loyal following, we do need to say sorry. New sorry graphic right there, man. Look a little familiar?
Got my boy.
Marty, we are sorry. If anybody was like, hey, man, what the fuck? Where's the new Meaningful Times with Friends? Well, here it is, all right? We don't have any obligation to make these. We don't owe anybody an explanation. These are my friends, and I'm the editor, and frankly, got a little burnout editing. These friends matter, mean a lot to me. And if there's one thing I've learned in this life is that exploiting relationships for the sake of art or whatever this is, it's not worth it. It's more important to me that we have our friends, our family on good, healthy status. So I just said we're on a hiatus. We'll figure it out as we go on. Meanwhile, something happened called 2025, which quite frankly has been just a long prostate exam of the soul. So when things are happening that really everybody be like, are you going to talk about this? Are you going to talk about this? This is not the group that wants to talk about it. So I wanted our little group chat to be just back to the chat and relax and enjoy our friendships through this fucking shithole we call 2025.
Yeah, actually did get one of our super fans kept asking probably once a month. The last time he's like, do you guys still have that chat? And it's like, oh yeah. Yeah, that thing is daily. So that's the other thing too. This was kind of born of that text thread. You want to talk about a prostate exam of the soul? That's like fucking 5 fingers deep.
No. That's not the prostate exam. That's more just a nice massage of the balls of the soul.
Yeah, through the prostate.
4 guys just, hey, you guys see this? Hey, fuck you!
Pretty much, yeah. The fuck do you mean by that? It's like sticking your thing in a glory hole and you never know if there's a mousetrap on the other end.
You've all seen Flash Gordon, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's that classic scene where it always used to get me as a kid where they had to do the test where they put their hand in that rock.
Yep.
And there was like some creature that would like sting him or some shit like that. That always creeped me out when I was a kid. So that's what our chat's like. Only you stick I guess your penis in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a rock creature glory hole. The chat remains the same, just like Led Zeppelin's song remains the same. I wanted the chat to kind of just enjoy itself and not have any pressure of all this. But now pressure's on. Something did come up in our chat over the course of 2025.
That did.
And how it was born, it did come from something that occurred to me about one of our episodes. I love our show, not just for anybody else to enjoy. When I played in bands, I would only play in bands that I would want to hear if I wasn't in them. I'm going to give props to the Meaningful Times with Friends. My dog's here. The only reason why this show is any good is because of these guys and the conversations that we have. And years ago, when this chat was just entertaining me, I just suggested, hey, would you guys want to make a podcast out of this? Because, we don't get to see each other as often. I think it would be fun. Let's try it out. And they did, and we ran with it for over a year and a half. So much so that we have one fan that was asking about us every month. That's pretty cool. And was asking if the chat was still going, which it is. That's really what the point of it was. It's an extension of our friendship. And so, yeah, when that ever seemed threatened, I've been in bands, seen the stresses, don't want to put any of that stress on this because we don't make any money from this. This is the reward right here. I was watching one of our episodes, the one about legacy sequels, and it occurred to me that there was one legacy sequel that never came up. Bill and Ted Face the Music. The trouble was, it came out in 2020 during the pandemic, and it was okay. It was very forgettable. It was probably, I would say, one of the worst of the legacy sequels. And I just brought it up because I forgot when we were talking about it. I'm like, wow, this was one that was rather important. Jason, you saw it too, right?
I saw it in the hospital when I had surgery to remove some kidney stones.
Great way to see it, I imagine. That's got to be a one of a kind of experience.
Yeah, I watched that in The Last Picture Show.
Wait, you mean the old movie, The Last Picture Show?
Yeah.
The black and white, Peter Bogdanovich? Or no?
Yes.
Holy shit. You really wanted to make it hard on yourself, man. So, yeah, I mentioned Face the Music. And then a comment came. I don't remember the exact comment. I really don't. But it was Nathan Nation stating something to the effect of, well, I guess Alex Winter's just glad to get work again.
I'm sure I didn't know his name at all at the time. I said that other guy.
The other, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Bill or, whichever one. I'm sure he's just glad to get work again. And those words started an avalanche of what would become what I like to call the Alex Winter solstice, a combination of a Alex Winter appreciation, retrospection, all things Alex Winter. Both Jason and I were quick to point out that he isn't just from Lost Boys. That's probably where you first saw Alex Winter. You're like, is that a dude? Because if it's a girl or if it's a guy, still kind of cute. The one that had the curls, because all of them had like rocker hair, and Alex had curls. And the weird thing is, he doesn't really say much. I don't even know if he has much of a line in that movie. And then the next movie you saw him in was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And you're like, wait a minute, is that the fucking vampire from the Lost Boys? Holy shit. And again, this is long before Keanu Reeves became Keanu Reeves. Who would have known out of these two that Ted Theodore Logan that would go on?
Probably literally everyone who watched the movie.
I thought they both were good. I didn't think anyone was better than the other.
I feel like Keanu basically played the exact same character in Parenthood.
He did, but he did get more work. So yeah, that's what Nate was kind of pointing out unintentionally, was that we only know Alex Winter as Bill S. Preston, Esquire.
You're adding a lot of specificity to it. He literally referred to him as the other guy in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He may have said Ted, but that's like literally all he knew, which is about as much as I knew.
Basically, we were like, no, that's Alex Winter. He's been doing other things. Let's just go around and see how we all know Alex Winter. All right. Well, let's start with Nathan Nation.
I recognize him from many films from the mid to late 80s up into the 90s. But no, I never knew his name. And I'm sure in that initial conversation, I did not know his name at all at that point. In random conversations with like 4 different people, out of the blue just brought up Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure because we were kind of arguing about Alex Winter a little bit. So I'd be like, hey, do you remember that movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Just like my cousin Victor, to Carrie, I think one of my bosses. There's been about 4 people where I'm like, do you remember who the stars were in that movie? And each person said the exact same thing. Well, I remember Keanu, but I don't know the other guy at all. And I basically got the same response out of everybody on that. So I was like, all right, I was right. No one knows who the fuck that guy is, kind of thing. But, obviously, he's been in a lot more than I gave him credit for, which is the point of this whole thing.
Actually, and that's what we'll learn, he has not, acting-wise.
Plot twist.
Spoolie D.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was. I actually thought the movie was awful. The Bill and Ted movie.
Yeah.
Lost Boys is awesome. There's certain movies like that I just don't like. Wayne's World, like Nathan's favorite movie. Like, that shit is just like, just a bunch of dumb, like, faux stoner guys talking about rock and roll, but like in a really lame way. Like, that never really did it for me. So I didn't like the movie to begin with. And I knew from Lost Boys because I thought he was like uncommonly weird looking, even for a monster movie. He was really distinctive. And there's a weird scene where he kind of like flies forward in a really awkward like CGI way before CGI. But I literally didn't know it was the same guy until we started talking about the Lost Boys in the text group. And I'm like, oh shit, it's the same guy. And that's about the extent of it. I tried a perfunctory search to find anything else about him before I got bored of it. The best part about it was there was a link that was a website called facts.net. The clickbait was 21 intriguing facts about Alex Winter. I clicked on it. And it clicked to an article about Dean Winters, the guy in the Allstate commercial who plays like I am your daughter's DUI, which is hilarious. That was just like an omen. I've seen Lost Boys, which is great, and I've seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I did not see the sequel because the first one blew. It's the same fucking thing as Wayne's World. Just
Yeah, they were rivals, but you should actually check out Bogus Journey. I agree, I was not a fan of Excellent Adventure that much, but Bogus Journey is really good because they die. Last but not least, we'll go to Merely Jason. He's much more aware of the Alex Winter.
When Nathan said that guy must be happy to get work, my inner rage built up and I pushed it back down. And I said, well, actually, I did it well, actually, though. Well, actually, he works all the time. As a matter of fact, I had just seen him in a movie that he starred in called Destroy All Neighbors, which is really good. It's a good horror comedy movie that I recommend you check out. Destroy All Neighbors. But I knew that he worked all the time because he was like in production. Like he did a lot of production work. Back in the day, like in the, I think 90s, he had a TV show.
Idiot Box.
Encouraging people to like make their own TV type stuff. So they were like kind of promoting like, do it yourself kind of television. But beyond that, yeah, admittedly, he doesn't do a lot of big acting roles. He also was in a movie called Freaked. That was really good in the late 90s, I do believe. That just got re-released on Blu-ray. I like his choices. I like what he's done with his career, and I like the stuff that he is interested in making. I think he's kind of a right-on guy, like politically speaking. So, I don't know. I like Alex Winter, and I will defend him. And I'll try to be reasonable about it. But yeah, I'm an Alex Winter defender. For sure.
Word. We're simps for Alex Winter. When we're interested in things and people, we pay attention. He didn't just act in Freak. That was his bridge from moving into directing because he co-wrote and directed Freaked. So that was his pet project. And oddly enough, it didn't get a full-on release. It became a cult hit over time, mainly through video and cable.
It's worth watching strictly for the opening titles alone. The opening titles are magnificent.
And the movie actually stems from his brief run with the Idiot Box. I thought it was on longer, but it apparently was only 6 episodes on MTV. And I remember it because it had a combination of sketch and animation. It's one of the first places where they showed the shorts from Beavis and Butthead, because those shorts also were around in Spike and Mike's Sick and Twisted animation tours. Most people, if they're in something like Bill and Ted, they want to keep continuing their career as actors, and he instead kind of pivoted into these more creative avenues that didn't pan out exactly, but he always made them work in some capacity, even though Hollywood wasn't exactly embracing them, but audiences, like little cult following audiences, were. So he did Freaked, and after that, that's where you have this span where you didn't see him in much, and this is where it speaks to Nate's impression of like, yeah, I get this guy's just happy to get off Skid Row and come back to do Bill and Ted after all these years. Because I forgot about him. I did. Again, I'm not like sitting here like, what's Alex Winter doing? When I early on pieced it together that Bill S. Preston is the vampire in The Lost Boys, I'm like, dude, that's weird. Like, those are such different roles. His first appearance was actually interesting. He's in Death Wish 3. So when I'm looking him up on Wikipedia, his early introduction to entertainment was Broadway. Both of his parents were professional dancers because he's actually has dual citizenship. He's British and American. So he was born in England. His parents moved back to America, started a dance school. So when he first got into entertainment, he was doing Broadway productions long before Bill and Ted. So, when we hear about this recent return project to Broadway, or nobody knows it's a return, but this new project, Waiting for Godot, with Keanu Reeves that he's been doing, which people thought is kind of funny. I don't know Waiting for Godot. Is that like a serious play or something?
Yeah, it's Samuel Beckett, avant-garde theater, but it's basically an existentialist story about two people waiting for something that's never going to happen and how helpless they are to do anything but.
Oh, it's sort of like Spoolie D waiting for a good Alex Winter movie.
Or are you guys waiting for me and Nathan to give half a shit about Alex Winter?
Yeah, waiting for Winter.
If anyone asks right now, what's Alex Winter doing? And we can always say getting his balls thoroughly washed. So that's good.
You say these things, but the fact is, this is really just stems from, again, paying attention to things that interest us. So again, I forgot all about him after Freaked. I think I partied and crashed out at my stepsister's place, and this was when my niece and nephew were children. And we were watching one of their early children's programs. This was like, I guess, 2005 or so. They loved this show called Ben 10. And then they do behind the scenes. And who pops up? from behind the scenes, who's one of the creators of it, is Alex Winter. And I'm like, oh, look, this is what this motherfucker's been doing. After that, the next time I hear his name pop up is with documentaries. He got into documentary filmmaking. Speaking to the non-Alex Winter heads here, you should have a little more respect for him because I say that seriously, motherfuckers. Obviously, you don't just go into documentary film. Some do, but I mean, some you don't just get these skills out of nowhere. He's had skills in directing. He directed a lot of music videos. I did not know this until I looked this up. Co-directed and directed with Higher Ground, Knock Me Down, Taste the Pain, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Before they became complete bullshit, he was the director of those videos.
Before they became adult contemporary.
Yeah. You'll love this, Spoolie D. He directed Extreme's videos for Decadence Dance and Photo Graffiti. I know you're a big fan of Extreme.
I was hoping you were going to say Hole in the Heart,
Yeah,
because that was sick. I knew a Betancourt getting out with the people.
he directed some Helmet videos, but this is the one that I was just like, man, this should shut all you motherfuckers up. He directed Verklempt by Fetus.
Hey, blind squirrel, nut, stopwatch. Right, twice a day.
Now I'm jacking him off.
Yeah, speaking of,
Spray it
didn't
all
the
off on you right there.
much more famous Kirk Cameron direct a documentary recently?
But people don't like him, man.
But Jason would not consider Kirk Cameron, quote, right on politically, end quote.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Look, so after Ben 10, he ended up doing a lot of these documentaries. Downloaded was one of the early ones. Napster was like, the file sharing service that, Metallica went after him. And so that was what that documentary was about, because he actually took a big interest in the internet. He made a documentary called Deep Web, and I remember seeing that. It's basically about Bitcoin and Silk Road. So he made that. He's made other ones like Trust Machine, Story of Blockchain. Yeah, he's got Trump's Lobby, all this shit. But the ones most recently that I really enjoyed that he's made, Showbiz Kids, that was the movie about being a kid in Hollywood and all the terrible shit that happens to you and how you, survive and all that. He made the Zappa documentary, and I know this group really respects Frank Zappa.
I'm more of a Moon Unit guy, but yeah.
Weasel's my guy.
He made the YouTube Effect, which I remember seeing, and I guess there's a new one called Adulthood, which I haven't seen.
Where did you find that picture? It looks like special needs James Bond.
Yeah, I found it in the place that he loves.
00 chromosome.
The internet, man. That's where I found it.
It would be amazing if this is our most watched ever episode, because there's like legions of Alex Winter fans out there.
And there needs to be.
Just been waiting for someone to have a grievance that they need to air.
Jason and I are here for him. You guys, I don't understand. The man works. That's all it is. It's not just that he works. He's not just working to work. He does have creatively driven projects and perspectives that he wants to share. I mean, he did Showbiz Kids. This was something he never named them, but while working on Broadway, I think it was, the man was molested as a child. So, Spoolie D, you should have some sympathy.
I take everything back that I didn't say about him because I didn't know who the fuck he was. I've never been so ashamed of my own apathy before.
I know your crusade against pedophilia has been long going. And
that's actually one of the legacies of this show is somehow I was getting attacked for being on the fucking anti-pedophilia side of this issue. And I'm glad society at large and quote unquote people with the right kind of politics now agree. That totally flipped. That's fucking bananas.
Yeah, much like the Epstein files, man.
Yeah,
how old is 15 really? But anyway, so I'm just circling it back why you should care a little bit more about Alex Winter. For that.
Let me ask Nathan, do you care more about him now than you did 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, a little bit. It's, I want to see this childhood thing and hear about his childhood trauma. It sounds fascinating. Poor guy. I'm sorry I didn't recognize his talents, and now I have deep regrets.
Then to quote one of the best quotes of the early 2000s, mission accomplished, Dave.
Was that reboot they did, the Legacy sequel, was that any good? Was it worth watching?
I watched it again later on just because I wanted to see it without
gallstones.
no, kidney stones. Thank you very much.
Kidney stones. What it is.
I watched it again and I enjoyed it again. Yeah, I liked it. It was good.
I had fun watching it. But my stepdad was watching it with us, and it was hard to enjoy it knowing something about it. He was not into it. I don't know. Maybe they'll be the first to watch this. He'll be like, no, I didn't mind it or whatever. But I distinctly remember because we purchased it, actually. You had to buy it on demand because it was during COVID. But I remember even seeing it and realizing, this isn't a movie that they were going to put in theaters, because my only gripe with it was that Bill and Ted, both Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey, even for whatever their budget limitations were, they looked like studio films. This was one of those movies that looked like a straight to streaming film. They had a budget, they had a decent cast in it, but something about it, it felt very soundstagey. Bogus Journey has a lot of sound stages. I mean, maybe because it was shot on film or something. It was the 90s. Plus, one thing about Bogus Journey, who makes that movie is another actor.
Not Alex Winter.
It's not Alex Winter. He plays Death. He's also the bad guy in Die Hard 2. He's one of my favorite character actors. William Sadler, been a working actor forever. If you saw his face, you would know him. He's got a deep cheekbone, jawline shit. And in Die Hard 2, he has the funniest scene in all Die Hards. They're not exactly terrorists. These are like former military who are gone rogue.
But is it like he's doing yoga or something?
He's doing buck naked. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his ass makes a second appearance in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. They show Death's ass at one point. So he's pretty proud of his ass. So Face the Music was one of those movies. This felt like a legacy sequel, and more so than like your Axel Foley or your Coming to America or Happy Gilmore 2. Actually, no, Happy Gilmore 2 was kind of similar because that just came out recently, which I enjoyed, Happy Gilmore 2, but I think Nathan asked, you think it's worth watching? I'm like, you're going to fucking hate it, dude.
I know I sound like a broken record on here, but I don't want more 80s and 90s. I like the stuff that happened in the 80s and 90s, but I don't want more of it. No Top Gun Maverick, just enough. Put out some new stuff. I'm tired of it all. I'll never watch that Bill and Ted's one that came out a couple years ago. I was just curious to know if it was any good, so I'm glad you enjoyed it at least.
You gotta love the characters to have fun with it. Basically, if I really wanted to get some information out of Spoolie D, I would tie him to a chair and put on Face the Music. I'd give him like 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
What's Face the Music?
Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for paying attention.
What was the other movie you watched on Kidney Stones, Jason?
Oh, The Last Picture Show.
I got those two flipped around because I don't know what that is either.
Oh, you should see it. It's fucking amazing.
Is it?
It's a cool movie. It's like slice of life in Texas in the 60s.
It's really, really good. Yeah.
It's Peter Bogdanovich. I don't know. Spoolie D might have a case of this is pretentious or something. I don't know.
How do you feel about Cloris Leachman? Do you know who that is?
Yeah. Doesn't she have a fake eye? Like a glass eye?
No.
That was Sandy Duncan, I think.
Oh, okay. That's how I feel about Cloris Leachman.
Okay,
Jason.
well, never mind.
Do you remember the Facts of Life when Mrs. Garrett left and they brought in a
Yes.
new That was
Cloris Leachman. Yeah.
And I did get her confused with Sandy Duncan because when Valerie Harper left the show Valerie and became the Hogan family, they brought in
Yes.
Sandy Duncan. I thought that was Cloris Leachman.
Cloris Leachman's going to be like the Bad Brains, where Spoolie D swears up and down. I've been waiting to bring this up. Don't know one thing about Cloris Leachman. I'm like, you seen Young Frankenstein? She's been around. Like, you've probably seen her in something. So
I've seen The Facts of Life. I'll say this about her. That's a great name. It's a Hall of Fame name. Cloris Leachman.
She was a hottie back in the day, too, man.
Yeah, she was hot in that movie. I regret bringing her up now, but it's a really good movie.
You know what's really disturbing is a young Angela Lansbury, no matter how young she is, still looks exactly like Murder, She Wrote Angela Lansbury.
Yeah,
Like,
she did.
It's not like Martha Stewart or Sybil Shepherd. It's just so creepy. She just never aged. Like Willie Nelson. She just looked old immediately and just never changed.
So you see all this talk about these various actors, and that's kind of how Alex Winter is. So there's no like any heightened adoration for Alex Winter. It's just a little bit of an awareness of the
When you first brought him up,
trying to put some respect on his name. That's all.
I thought you were talking about that albino rocker dude.
Oh, you're talking Johnny Winter.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about at first. I'm like, wait, where are we talking about him? Was he in Bill and Ted's?
One of the reasons why I think this only even came up with Alex Winter, too. Unfortunately, in working in the bottom level, the sewage level of entertainment, you do cross paths with, like, perceptions of things. Hearing that, like, oh, this Alex Winter guy must be struggling, just happy to be fucking working again. It's like, we don't know these people. They're all human beings. You know, these are jobs. Nate comes from radio. There's always going to be a chromosome of morning radio kind of behavior towards entertainment. It's like one of the cliches. Comedians always having to go promote their shows, go into morning radio and, hey guys, what are we going to do? Let's get for the something 105, whatever. And they have to then pander to these radio show hosts that are just like, so what's going on with you? And and it's like going to Thanksgiving and having to like have those mundane chit chats. And if you aren't doing something that like everybody's heard about, you must be fucking broke down on the skids, like on your last leg, hoping to stay alive. I guess it all is just bullshit and I'm an idiot, but whatever. Did we talk enough about Alex Winter? Is there any stone left?
Is that even possible, Dave?
I don't know.
I'll say this. What I love about both you and Jason, and what I find also confounding, is the notion that someone who is far more accomplished in life than most of us needs defending by both of you guys. Like, I think that's the hilarious part. I
Apparently
understand.
does.
I understand
I mean-
perfectly wanting to be right and being pedantic about shit and being like, well, actually, Alex Winter's done a lot. But when you're like at the point where you're like, I'm enraged because how dare you fucking this Alex Winter shit, that's what cracks me up about both of you guys.
I did not say he did a lot. You can look at his resume. He's done things. To make a documentary, that takes a lot of research, and he's been more behind the scenes than he is, trying to act or whatever. But good news for Spoolie D, there is talk about a Bill and Ted 4. So be on the lookout.
Bill and Ted retire.
It could be. I mean, they would make that kind of movie where they're old and in a retirement home or something.
Do they have the same band through all the sequels?
Wild Stallions, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing of Face the Music. I think we were asking that in the chat. You're like, did they ever write a song? And I'm like, yeah, they did. That's what the last movie was about. And I think you said, was it any good? And I said, no. It's not a good song.
And now I might check it out.
What did you think, Jason? Was it a good song?
No, it was terrible. But the main reason I wanted to see it was because I was curious as to how they were going to make a new movie with those characters. And I think that they hit upon the right way to do it, basically.
I thought so too. No, it was because they had kids, right? It was their kids they were chasing. Yeah. I liked the movie. I just also was like, man, I wish it didn't feel so we're going straight to streaming. These were major studio characters and it wouldn't have taken much. Everything felt very green screen. Anyway, respect to Alex Winter. May ongoing life and work continue to go your way. And may those who don't appreciate you, may the veil be lifted so that they can learn to be excellent to one another. I just want to make sure that message gets out there. All right, moving on. Next topic. Obviously, we are in the middle of a year. And a lot of times what's popular in these types of years is a year in review. So we decided we are going to do a year in review. However, we ain't reviewing 2025. We've come with a different approach. We each will be reviewing a year of our choosing for whatever reasons, and there's no rules to this. You can pick your year and say what you're reviewing about it. So let's go ahead and kick it off with Nathan Nation.
All right, I'm going to go with 1987, a most excellent year. Began on a Thursday. Let's see, what happened in 1987? I guess Reagan was still president that year. I wore a lot of OP t-shirts and shorts, I think, maybe even mixed in like a Ron John Surf Shop kind of situation with that. My family went to Europe. 1987, the one and only time I've ever actually been to Europe. So we went to what was West Germany at the time. It was not reunified Germany at that point. Also went to London and Scotland. I began junior high in 1987, I'm pretty sure. 7th grade at Newark Junior High School. Outside of that, I don't know much else is notable for 1987. I'm sure there's lots of great music and movies that came out that year, but I can't remember which ones. Overall, 1987 was pretty rad, I gotta say.
I would say it was probably like one of the tail end of the years that still felt like the 80s. I was in 6th grade. You enjoyed 7th grade?
I'm pretty sure I did, yeah. It wasn't until high school where I was really miserable. So somewhere around 89 to 90 is when I started hating life. But 7th grade I was fine with.
Junior high felt like prison rape, and then high school felt way better.
I will say this, 1987 is the year I was introduced to Mr. Krogan, who taught history at Newark Junior High School, and I think I'm not the only one of you guys that hated or that didn't necessarily like that fucking guy.
No, he was the Alex Winter of...
He's your Alex Winter, asshole. I have nothing bad to say about Mr. Krogan. Matter of fact, the closest I ever got to being able to date was thanks to Mr. Krogan, so I have nothing but good things to say about him. It's the response to fucking resentful Spoolie D here, because my hunch was Spoolie had the hots for Mr. Krogan, and Krogan liked me to a very worrisome effect, and Spoolie seemed a little jealous. That's really...
Remember he wore those giant glasses that made his eyes look huge? It was just so menacing and just...
Why'd you bring him up? You didn't like him?
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Hold on. Are you sure it's Mr. Krogan or Mr. Costin?
Krogan.
No, he's talking Krogan. He mentioned the glasses...
It was Costin's half a tongue. That was
his accent. Yeah, his terrible way of speech.
The earth science teacher couldn't say the word soil.
Yeah, Saul.
Irony's a cruel mistress.
It's the one teacher my mom ever met that she truly was like, fuck that guy.
Really?
Yeah, she had to meet with Mr. Costin, and she was like, fuck that dude. She didn't put it, or she might have said those words, but yeah, she absolutely did not like him at all.
Summer of 87, I was at my house, and I used to hang out with Sean Farrow, and there was other kid, Anthony Gonzalez. He's the one with the FAG socks, Jason. He told us we were wearing FAG socks. Anyways, they come to my house, this is in the summer before 7th grade, right? We're all going to the junior high because in where we grew up, this is uncommon because 6th grade is considered middle school in most places now. Where we were, 7th grade was like the first time you were in this giant, massive, like mixing bowl of all these people you've never seen. The school is like 6 times the size of your elementary school, and it's just chaos. Which that's kind of like how I felt when I got there. But anyways, these guys come to my house and they're like, I guess they committed some sort of crime with a slingshot and they wanted me to store it in my house. And I was like, no. And they're like, come on, man. What are you doing? Like, I'm like, no, I'm not going to like hold your crime weapon. And they're like, fun. Have fun hanging out by yourself at the junior high.
And you did.
I did.
On them, yeah.
They followed through on that. They ditched me.
They iced you out, huh?
Yeah.
Having somebody ditch a piece of a crime with you, I wonder what that feels like.
There's difference between ditching it and planting evidence, Dave. Those are two distinct things.
Hey, you admit to it this time. Nice.
I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, not talking about
my
anything.
ass. You just confessed. Spoolie D, what was your year?
Oh man, I don't think you want me to answer that question.
I do, because we only have a limited amount of time.
2021. You ready, Dave? Ed Sheeran's Shivers hit the charts. What else happened? Let's see. A lot of relevant outdoorsy shit. Riots. People dying, of course. We always talk about that in science. There was this story that dominated the entire year. That girl, Gabby Petito? Yeah, it was that whole, like, you know, once every, like, 5-year news cycle, there's, like, a white chick that goes missing, and then she winds up dead. I think they blamed her boyfriend, but I'm pretty sure it was hiking that did her in. Because they found her in a nature preserve, or what was left of her.
And I feel like Gabby Petito is, like, a huge name in that whole true crime obsession thing.
Was she finally preserved in the natural preserve?
No, I think she was in pieces. I don't know. I didn't pay attention. Every time this comes up, I, like, zone out, but looking back at 2021, that was a huge story. It like spanned the entire year. What else was going on in 2021? We always talked about science. No. Oh, Hank Aaron died. That was weird. He was doing some PSA for something. I can't remember what the fuck it was, and then he died. What else? Oh yeah, Alec Baldwin murdered some lady and totally got away with it. Remember that?
That was 21. Wow.
Yeah. Murder requires intention. I highly recommend YouTuber doc by a guy who I watch his videos, Patrick CC on YouTube. How I even discovered him, I got suggested his video about the Alec Baldwin case, and it's an amazing, thorough going through of the entire case. You'll love it because the people that actually are more responsible for it ended up setting up the person who ended up taking the fall for it the most. There was no murder, there was no intention. He just held the gun, and that bullet being in the gun was like a very tragic circumstance.
Speaking of tragic, Dustin Diamond died also that year. Screech from Saved by the Bell. If you actually put a side-by-side, who do you recognize? Like Screech or fucking Alex Winter? I wonder who would show up. Given Alex Winter's notable accomplishments.
I think you'd feel better if Alec Baldwin shot Screech.
That sounds like fan fiction, Dave, that we should make. Like a small off-Broadway show. What else happened? There's something about science. I can't remember. Oh, yeah. There was this massive riot. Do you remember this in 2021 where people went nuts? They like broke down barricades in order to gain entrance and people were injured and killed. The Travis Scott concert. Remember that? There was this huge riot at the Travis Scott concert and 8 people died, like actually died as a result of the riot. Like not just the rioters being falsely accused by the media of killing people, but like legit fucking trampled people to death. That was fucking crazy. I totally forgot about that.
Who is Travis Scott? Is that
a rapper?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I watched some Netflix fucking documentary about that riot that they put out recently. Yeah, no, okay. To me, Travis Scott sounds like country music.
I think we get him confused with like Travis Tritt or whoever. There was like a country show that somebody shot up in Vegas or something. Yeah,
that was the Vegas shooting. That was in 2021 though, so we'll move on. The Travis Scott riot is like the Alex Winter riot of 2021. I'll just leave it at that. What else? There was, race, right? 2021 was a big thing about race. A bunch of fucking idiots decided to censor 6 Dr. Seuss books because they're a racist. Remember that?
No.
You know? There was something else about race, but I can't think. Oh, Herschel Walker ran for Senate. That was pretty weird. Okay, science is on the fucking loose in 2021, if you remember. Science, right? Everyone's talking about the science, thanks science, all this stuff. There was a big year for science. Let's just say they did some trials, they tested out, and they found MDMA, Molly, could potentially cure PTSD. It was a little controversial because, it was a small trial. They didn't really look at the long-term effects. They didn't really suss out the side effects. The only thing I will say about this Molly trial was that at least they didn't give Molly to the placebo group like 2 months afterwards. That was a big difference. but still controversial. They also found out the composition of Mars' core. That was pretty cool. What else? Colin Powell died. That was pretty awesome. Cause of death was weapons of mass destruction. Dum, dum. Oh, what else? Okay, last thing. Dave's girl, Dua Lipa, had #1 hit of 2021 on Billboard with Levitating. This is notable because David never heard of her.
Very true.
Which is amazing. Again, you want to do that side by side. She'd actually beat out Screech in the recognition. I can't honestly think of anything else that happened in 2021. So back to you, Dave.
Word.
Comprehensive.
He's mocking both January 6th and the COVID vaccine with his science and riot.
I did not mention either of those two things, David.
No, I'm saying those were going on during that time, but I believe that's part of your running joke. Yeah. All right. Moving on. So, merely Jason, what was your year?
My year was 1990. The standout qualities of 1990, 3 perfect albums were released in 1990. One was Head by the Jesus Lizard, which was their first album. They'd released previously an EP called Pure, but their first album was called Head. Also, Depeche Mode released Violator, another perfect album. I saw Depeche Mode at the Shoreline Amphitheater for that tour, and it was absolutely breathtaking. And finally, the third perfect album that was released was Too Dark Park by Skinny Puppy. The cover art is the background here of my section of the window. I'm sure there were other perfect albums that were released that year, but those are the 3 that immediately came to mind.
Nice.
It was a good year. Thank goodness that 1990 occurred.
Would you consider the Humpty Dance to be a perfect song? It also came out that year.
It has its qualities. I like that album. It was pretty good, but I don't know about perfect.
I would argue that it might be the best song ever.
The Humpty Dance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got everything. Everything. If somebody ever asked me what my favorite song was, I'll say the Humpty Dance. It's an entirely defensible song from beginning to end. It's genius. Thank you for bringing it up, Nathan. I love the Humpty Dance. Any opportunity to talk about the Humpty Dance, I will grab it in the biscuits. Dude, he makes up words that don't mean nothing like Loop did. Like, the thing is a fucking gem. It's like the Big Lebowski. Every time I listen to it, I like it more.
Did anybody fucking say that it wasn't? I'm just curious.
Doesn't he at some point in the song say, "My name is Humpty," pronounced with the umpty?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's some bullshit right there.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Shots fired. That was shots fired.
Thank you for talking 1990. I'm glad we had a chance to do this.
I love how Jason's world just revolves around those albums, because 1990, again, was a junior high year. That was 8th grade. Like I said, junior high was not my favorite years.
That was peak the 3 of us spending a lot of time together.
But not knocking that. That was actually some of my saving grace of the year. But I was antagonized by people I didn't know or didn't like, between teachers, between life, just in general, and constantly, even by you guys, being tormented for my love of Coca-Cola, and
That's a huge bitch.
just constantly mocked by your closest friends. Granted, I'm sure I was a head case myself. I needed a little humility, I guess, in 8th grade. Somebody needed to take Little Mean Dave down a peg quite a bit. 9th grade, I embraced more. The one thing about 1990 I'll give is that I believe that's when Jason and I went to my first concert. You're like 2nd or 3rd. That was the year we went to see Faith No More, correct?
Yep.
And we didn't get to see Faith No More. Thanks to 2 people who watched this show regularly and said we had to leave by 11. We did not get to see Faith No More. Instead, we saw a band we never heard of who had a apparently large fan base who all said they sucked, and that was Primus.
Yeah, we were very confused because everybody kept yelling Primus sucks, and we're like, why does this band suck so bad? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And we realized that was their deal. They came out and said, we're Primus and we suck.
And they were amazing. Like, even though we didn't know the music, I remember I almost got smashed into a guy sitting in a wheelchair in the crowd. I was constantly being pushed into him because we were fucking kids there at this all ages venue with a lot of adults, the Omni.
I think about that sometimes. I think about what it must have looked like, especially like at Guar. We were babies. We were fucking infants at these concerts. It's kind of amazing.
When Greg Davis and I went to go see Guar at the Omni, my understanding was his parents were picking us up. After the show, they weren't showing up, and that's when I learned that he thought my parents were picking us up. Now it's after the show. It's late. It's really late. My friend Sean Boyles, rest in peace, he showed me where the old Omni used to be. It's closer to the border with Berkeley. It was weird seeing it, but that was where we had to stand outside, and all the metalheads, little by little, started dissipating off to the parties or going home or whatever the fuck. And it was just junior high, me and Greg Davis standing on the corner across the street from what we kept hearing was a crack house in the middle middle of the night in Oakland, just these two kids standing there like little fucking child prostitutes. And he ends up calling his parents. His parents were picking us up. They were fucking really upset. And so we're waiting for him. And then this crackhead comes over to talk to us. I always remember it was this old dude. And he's like, hey guys, you got one life. So do what you want to do with that one life. Don't become like me and go smoking crack or whatever. And I was like, right on, man. Okay, yeah, whatever. And Greg's like, don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. Don't talk. And I was like, shut the fuck up, man. Just act like you're supposed to be here. All right. Obviously, we stand out. I'm trying to play it cool. And Greg was panicking. And I'm like, dude, relax, man. He's not going to hurt us. But it was scary. And we did get picked up. So we were fine. All right. My year, 2002, the year after 9/11, which was in 2001. So this was like the year where America was quite humbled. Well, humbled and enraged. The country was still suffering from shock. However, I already was kind of experiencing what I felt like was my early to mid 20s bottoming out of like life, because dropped out of college, started doing aimless jobs, had played in some bands, but those bands kept falling apart or breaking up or just moving in different directions. Was not feeling particularly like I was finding any way in life. I had started working in testing video games in 1998, and those jobs ended up being these temp jobs, working contracts. 2001, I quit a job testing video games because a manager was trying to pressure me into going off location to go do a job that I could easily do where I was at. Even though I had to go to an office, I was like, I can work this job from here. Why do I have to go to Arizona? And they were just basically trying to justify inflated budgets. I don't know. It was all part of their politics with the company. And the guy kept acting like a prick to me about it. And I just said, you know what? I'm putting in my 2 weeks, man. I quit. I'm glad I did, because otherwise I would have been stuck in Arizona during 9/11 with a bunch of people I wouldn't want to be around. And I ended up having to work at Tilt at the mall into 2002 and feeling like a complete failure.
Was that the arcade?
That was formerly the gold mine.
Yeah, this is when the mall started to turn into the mall that we know today, that it's just a barren wasteland of whoever's left there. I remember the kids would just go in there trying to break into machines to steal quarters most of the time. So my whole goal was really just to like keep it empty unless somebody was actually playing a video game. I was very miserable. You know, I'm living at my parents' house. I'm working this minimum wage job. I had a really cool boss there. She was this young gal. I thought she was really cool. I would see some people I used to know from school. Never felt more Al Bundy in my life than working at Tilt. I think I was in my mid-20s then. So you'd see who was still around in Newark in their 20s at the mall and just being like, what the fuck? Is that Dave? Is that you? Yeah, I'm a fucking bum. So my band Woozor broke up in 2001. I started doing a one-man band called I Think There's Some Damage with my drum machine. I was playing gigs with it. Started meeting people. I was also running my DIY label, Wolfman Records. So I was active in like my creative side. Oddly enough, as much as I thought working at Tilt sucked, I kind of started to lean into it. And next thing you know, I was hanging out with our dear friend Chris Nornberg. I remember he met up with me and we hung out at Red Robin after work one time. I just remember having like some really good times after work or meeting some people at the mall. So I kind of felt bad when I did get another QA job and left that job, because even though it didn't pay for shit and it was really kind of boring, kind of liked my job at Tilt, being a bum. So I ended up kind of reconnecting with some Newark friends. Also during that time, Spoolie and I, we were jamming over at his place in El Granada. He was living in El Granada, that's in Half Moon Bay area. And him, Ben, and I would get together and we'd play this electric band that I always called it like a Weekend Warrior type of thing, but it sounded cool. And it was Spoolie D on bass, Ben on guitar, me playing drums, but I was really learning the drums more getting to play in this band. It was just a good time of like practice. And then
You also didn't have a vocalist or anything like that? I didn't figure out I could sing until after that.
nobody wanted to take ownership of vocals, but we had fun playing these songs. And then Ben left and it was just me and Spoolie. We tried jamming bass and drums a couple times and just kind of found we weren't that type of outfit to make that work. And I was
Remember when that lady came into the house?
Yeah, and she liked it.
Just some middle-aged woman like came up to the window and just started like dancing, like she was hammered or something, like came out of the woods. That's super weird.
Which was a good sign that it wasn't working. I was taking a crap at his place and I heard him practicing one of his songs on acoustic, singing it. That was when I was like, that sounds better than anything we've been trying to do. And that's when I encouraged Spoolie. I'm like, dude, you should really try playing your songs just acoustically singing And I was also trying to encourage him to get some practice playing in front of audiences because I knew that wasn't his strong suit. And it's probably the only time you ever followed any advice of mine, correct?
I'm sure there's other things that you've suggested that I've taken to heart.
I don't keep track really, but I just know this one was significant because there was evidence of it.
I respect your opinion.
I didn't say you don't respect my opinion. I'm saying more that there's not often that I've offered suggestions that I've actually seen you follow through on them. I don't also suggest much. I'm not sitting there like, you know what you need to do, Spoolie? I think you've proven time and time again, you figure out a good way to get through things.
Like, I don't listen to anyone about anything. So the fact that I did listen to you about this.
And then the one-man band ended up foreshadowing doing stand-up.
I will say this, Woozar is excellent, and so was, I think There's Some Damage. Because you actually bristled when people said one-man band, because you figure, like, you know, a guy with cymbals between his kneecaps, like hitting a bass drum with his feet and like playing the accordion. This wasn't that. You were creating a lot of sound out of one human being, and it was really good.
Inspiration to even do it was from Joe Preston of
Right.
the Thrones, because when I saw him do it, it was amazing. And my set doesn't compare to that, but it made it accessible. So I was like, oh, okay, so I can do what I do in my bedroom live. And that's how I met the guys that I ended up starting a band called Funeral Shock with later that year in 2002. So in all of 2002, I ended up going back to work testing games and then eventually movies, which I loved doing that job, testing DVDs. I ended up moving out of my parents' house into the house that Spoolie D used to live in El Granada. So I got my own place with another frenemy of the show. Again, it was that weird time in our country where I feel like some of the shock from like 9/11, when people are traumatized as a nation, I kind of like it. I don't think we need more of it. Believe me, I don't want it. It's like a time of renewal and rebirth and new beginnings. Got laid a little bit. That's always good. 2002, very underrated year. It's the beginning of a lot of movies that were coming out. Tarantino's Kill Bill was on the horizon. I had a good time in terms of art, music. The Melvins were playing better. The Kevin Rootmanis years, he's my favorite bass player. So 2002, not a bad time. Cool. All right, year in review done. Now, let's get to this song, which was suggested by merely Jason, and at first glance thought we were going to have another Alex Winter situation on our hands because she kind of looks like him.
I know, right?
But the weird thing was, man, I am so glad he suggested this. Went down the rabbit hole on this, and it is fascinating. And I dare to say I'm going to be learning more about this person afterwards. So, merely Jason, take charge.
When we did the Drab Majesty episode, something that Spoolie D said that really got under my skin. Who wants to listen to a metronome? And I said, I do. I want to listen to a metronome. And so at that moment, I decided that the very next time the rotation went around and I could pick a song, it was going to be Oh Superman by Laurie Anderson, which is like the ultimate metronome song, or one of the ultimate metronome songs anyway. It is an 8-minute long piece done primarily with a vocoder, organ, and the sounds of birds chirping. And that's pretty much all of the instrumentation on it. I don't know. I kind of feel like we should let the people who aren't going to like it talk first, and then we'll get that out of the way before I say anything else.
It's so funny, too, because in our chat, we didn't even figure out who it was in rotation. Jason was like, let's do this. I'm like, yes, good song for the episode back. I already was on board. So, Nathan Nation.
Let me give you a little background before I say what I have to say about this. So, Jason does noise performances. The name you use is Bird Spanker. And once a month, we go to this show in San Francisco at the Center for New Music. It's called God Waffle Noise Pancakes. It's arranged by this guy named Grux, who's like a local San Francisco sort of like noise guru. And these shows are interesting. I'll give it that. Like, there are times where I'm blown away by what I see, and there are times where I'm deeply bored, times where I want to plug my ears and just go, what? This is noise in the greatest sense. And there are certain performers I see there. There's a guy I've seen twice. He's always the headliner, and he does this series of bleeps and bloops. And it's bloop, 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 bloop. And it always ends like on a little down note, and I always find myself looking around. And you'll see people vibing out, like there's a beat happening or some shit. Like, and I'm always like, what are they hearing that I don't hear in this? And it confounds me a little bit, because when we leave, we always sort of have our walk back to where, you know, Jason goes to his house, I go to my car, and we'll sort of talk about these shows. And inevitably, the stuff I didn't like, Jason will always say, that was my favorite thing. And so, coming to what we're talking about today, I 100% believe that you enjoy this. And what confounds me about it is the same thing of the artist I just described from God Waffles. It builds to nothing. It's 8 minutes of huh, huh, huh. Like I kept waiting for there to be like a Phil Collins in the air tonight moment where it goes do 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 do. Fuck yeah! Now the fucking thing started 6 minutes in or whatever. But that's not the case. And so I wanted to do what I do at those God Waffle shows and look around for somebody to tell me what is happening with this, because it just starts and stays in kind of one place with very minor variations. And for me, like outside of like listening to it for this like a couple times to be able to talk about it, I can't imagine ever wanting to listen to it more than one time. It's not captivating enough. It doesn't go anywhere enough for me to be able to pick up on what it's doing. And my other thought is that it seems very of its time. For instance, this was what, 82 or something?
1981.
Okay, if you had shown this to me as a 6-year-old, I was 6 years old in 81, I would have been like, this is like the future. Listen, like, what are samples and, you know, these synth sounds and the visuals of in the video where she opens her mouth and light comes out. Like, if I'd go back almost 44 years, like, I would have thought this is crazy and futuristic and neat. Like the movie The Black Hole, which came out a few years before this, right? If you watched that in 79, it was like, wow, this is cool. But if I watch that now, it seems hokey and cheesy. And I'm not saying that that's what this song was, hokey and cheesy, but it just seemed like I can understand why it took off in the UK at the time it did, but fast forwarding to now and having never heard it, it just didn't resonate with me.
Word. Spoolie D?
You know that bleep bloop thing, Nathan,
Yeah.
where you're looking around going like, I feel like that whenever I'm unfortunate enough to see a Shakespeare performance live, when people are like, oh, I'm like, that is not fucking funny. Like, who are you? You're pretending to like this. So I think this is a naked act of aggression by Jason. Like the great Laurie Anderson said, there's always force, and when force is gone, there's always passive aggressive art house garbage music to bludgeon your friends over the head with. Jesus Christ, man. Granted, this is much better than Drab Majesty. It's not even close. This seems almost remotely sincere, where Drab Majesty, anyways, I don't want to talk about that anymore. The video is also the poorest excuse for shadow puppeteering I've ever seen. Like, what the fuck was she doing? Is that a dog? Is that an elephant trunk fucking stuck in a paper shredder? Is that a fucking half a butterfly? Is that an ashtray? Like, what the fuck was that? So totally like what Nathan's talking about. It's that sort of like Soho, London fucking like idea of modern art from like the early 80s that became like punchlines in 80s movies, like all the way through to like show like what a pretentious person was. And the metronome thing's funny because the first thing I thought of when I saw that was Stumbo, which is a fucking kick-ass song on every level. It has basically that same sound going through the entire song ceaselessly, right? That song's ridiculous. Like, that's one of my favorite songs. I mean, it's not the Humpty Dance, but it's a great song. And the other thing was like, this was her hit. That's fucking crazy. I was reading about it. It's like she did this in her home. Like, oh, wow, I couldn't fucking tell. The last thing I'll say about this, other than read the lyrics, because I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm missing something deeper here. And so I read the lyrics, and I mean, come the fuck on. It's uneven. The first half, it's just stupid fucking childish wordplay. And then she tries to get fucking political. Like, apparently this was about the fucking Iran hostage situation. Did she know that Reagan made a side deal to make sure that the hostages were kept captive longer so that it could be freed under him instead of Jimmy Carter? See, I didn't have to go through a whole fucking artistic nonsense metronome fucking shadow puppet bullshit extravaganza to like make a political statement. Anyways, still better than Drab Majesty.
I watched an interview where her point of the song was technology will not save you.
Laurie Anderson is, as a kid, like, she was one of the things that, like, I felt like I was supposed to like it because she was doing stuff kind of from an art perspective rather than a musician perspective. It always felt like she was, like, pointed out as, like, oh, look, she's doing new media. You know, she's doing dance and art and performance art and whatever. And it's really cool because she's using technology, like new technology and everything. And as a kid, like, I was always like, yeah, but it doesn't sound weird enough. I wanted it to be weirder or harder or something, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't really appreciate it. But then over time, like, this particular song really grew on me, Oh Superman, to the point where I kind of became mildly obsessed with it and I would listen to it quite a bit. You say nothing happens in it, but the part where she's responding, I said, hello, who is this really? And the voice said, you don't know me, but I know you. That part, just talking about it even, it gives me chills. Like, the development of that part of the song is like really, it's really absolutely gorgeous, like musically speaking. It's probably one of the top 10 like vocoder songs of all time. So she applied for a grant to make this song, to record it, and she self-produced some records for it. The inspiration was Operation Eagle Claw, which was a failed situation in Iran where some hostages were being held in the US embassy. And by the time they sent over the planes to pick them up, everybody was dead and there were no hostages to be found. And it was just a big failure. And it was her reacting to that was saying, it's kind of insane that we look at our government as a parent that's taking care of us. And there was a belief that, oh, we have superior technology. Technology is going to allow us to save these people, and we rely on our government and in military technology and science to protect us, when it's kind of an absurd belief that any of it's actually going to save us as people. So that's kind of what the song is about. We look at the government and we look at technology as being forces for good that will be protecting us, but in reality, we can't rely on any of that shit. Now, musically speaking, it really is an art piece more so than a music piece. And she actually said all of her friends, when it suddenly became very popular and she ended up signing a contract with Warner Records to release it. Yeah, that's right.
8 albums.
What happened was she was self-producing these records in her house. Somebody would send her a letter with some cash and she'd package one up and send it out. And then she got contacted by a radio station in England who said they wanted 40,000 copies. And so obviously that was beyond her means. So she contacted Warner. They ended up signing her to this big contract, and she was launched into kind of much more popular awareness, for better or worse. I did choose it as punishment, yes, I admit. However, I wouldn't have chosen it as punishment if I didn't actually absolutely adore it.
Anderson Cooper on 60 Minutes did an interview with her. So I watched the video and then I watched his interview. Her work is fascinating, performance-wise and music-wise. Either of you naysayers were to see some of her other work, you'd be like, oh, this is actually, kind of cool. This was just the start. My first impression, the first thing it reminded me of is something kind of recent. Pluribus, it's a new hit show from Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad. He's got this new show that's somewhat speculative fiction, science fiction style on Apple Plus, and the theme song, its opening, has a very similar use of vocal loops. So I just thought, oh, this reminds me of the theme to Pluribus. When I went to watch the video, and I'm like, oh, good Lord, this is one of those minimalist things that Jason's into. So yeah, we're thinking he's doing this to torture us. When I actually watched it with a clear mind and not attachment to any of this group, there's two things. One, this is pure art lord. It's one of those things to look at it. This could very easily be, yes, something that Spoolie would rail against. However, without having heard the interview, it has an earnest vibe. Normally, I would think this was going to put me off. I was really intrigued. The Shadow Puppets initially just does this arm thing in this moon-like lighting. And I'm just like, are you even trying? The funniest part is you get to the end, and that's when she does kind of the dumbest fucking hand puppetry at the very end. Her use of cameras, the light coming out of her mouth. She does some other interesting visuals. For all its simplicity, it's actually quite complex. And the fact that it's long, initially I'd be like, wow, this is long. It feels long. But when I watched it and listened to it again, I was actually more drawn to it and wasn't put off at all by the timing of it. She was at the forefront of a lot of this. I don't think it's so much like a pioneer who was trying to be one or whatever. She's quite cute. But this is a performance artist that I'm actually shocked that people dug it. She got 8 albums signing. They showed some of her music in that interview with Anderson Cooper of her pop music, which I don't think Jason would be a fan of as much.
Was it John Peel who was the DJ who championed it on the radio in Britain?
Yeah, it was a John Peel.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cachet to someone like him giving it a thumbs up, at that time especially.
That's how it ended up becoming a number 2 or something hit in the pop charts, yeah. And the thing is, the album that this is on, her first album, I really like Big Science a lot. This song in particular, and that album is really good as well.
That's the thing, is she ventured into actual pop music, and she knew it too, but she said, I'm not going to be tricked by this, I'm not going to fall for this shit. And she didn't, because she continued to go on. Some people would be like, why are you going to do that? And then if you see what her full ideas are, they're incredible. One of her initial ideas, she just sent messages to 500 different institutes of art or whatever throughout Europe to do a tour that she did not have planned, told them that, yeah, I'm planning to do a tour. And she got some callbacks. And one of her ideas, she was doing a violin thing with a tape loop machine within it so that she could play to her own loops, but she didn't have an exit strategy because there's no way to wrap it up. So she would time herself by wearing ice skates that are in frozen blocks of ice, and she would perform in hot areas because they don't melt easily. So she would do this performance until the ice would melt, and she would do that for street audiences and shit. So she kind of had a busker approach to some of her performances out there, but they weren't your usual things. She seemed like a really cool lady just in hearing her talk about the stuff, and it very easily could venture into some of that pretentiousness about it, but she's actually just seems like a really genuine, earnest artist who has like these very sincere ideas. And then she's been mentioned before on our show because she ended up meeting and becoming great friends and eventually married Lou Reed of the Velvet Underground. They were together for many years. And then when he passed, she likes working with technology. You would think like she's given this cautionary tale about it, like she's just making statements, but she has fascinations with it, works with it a lot today. She made an AI chat interaction of like Lou Reed so that she could feel like she's chatting with Lou Reed after his passing.
There's a level of sincerity of it that comes through, regardless of whether I like it or not. It's obviously not my thing, but the sincerity is apparent, which is interesting, Dave. Your insincerity antenna is hypersensitive. It came through very strongly, which is very interesting given the medium. So I didn't think it was bullshit. I just didn't like it. And then just like that poem I didn't like, when Jason explains it, it makes a lot of sense. So like, if you're to say like the message that Jason explained about this thing, people need a daddy, right? They want the government and they want, I'm not sure about technology, but definitely the government to save you. Like, I totally agree with the message of it. I couldn't fucking find the message in it because I'm not Jason, but I do appreciate the message and I do appreciate the sincerity of it. I just, just sounds not pleasant.
I agree. I don't know if I would have gotten all that had I not heard her interview and then Jason's subsequent backstory on it. But this is one of the moms of very art lordish type art. There's one beef I have though. She performed this live. I saw a video. It was only 5 minutes. So what's up with that shit? If you're going to perform Oh Superman, I want all 8 minutes of Oh Superman live. None of this summary radio version of Oh Superman. 8 minutes.
I'd be willing to bet the true heads that were there for that probably were heartbroken too.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a different temperature and it was warmer, so the blocks of ice melted faster.
This was after the blocks of ice. This was a good show. It's funny that she got a grant in order to get this party started and shit. If she was performing live and I had an ability to see her, I would actually be interested in seeing her. She's got something that she's doing now in like a VR. I hate VR, the thought of it, but the thing she did, she was showing Anderson Cooper. She has like this whole thing where you're like walking through some corridor just filled with like drawings and shit on the walls. This is very much an artist that if you love poetry, this is your jam.
I think part of what causes me to have issues is that I get really caught up in semantics. And so if Jason yeah, I know. If Jason had presented this to us as like, oh, this is an interesting like avant-garde one-woman performance play thing, I would understand it in that terms. But song to me implies more musical elements. Song, this is not to me. This is a spoken word thing with some minor musical elements throughout, but it never really is a cohesive song from my perspective. And I think that's what bums me out about it. Like, I wanted there to be something that it built upon rather than it being with a few things that happen here and there with some bird sounds. That's all I'm saying.
I think Nathan found his karaoke song.
Kill me, all of you.
You can kind of figure that out, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, we've gone to Godwaffle.
And that's why I compared it to that, exactly, because it's music adjacent.
I thought that was more apparent, like it didn't need to be explained.
I don't think I needed it to be explained. I'm just saying the presentation of it is what would have maybe changed my mind, as opposed to this being presented as music. Okay, we've done hip-hop on this thing. We've done metal. We've talked funk songs. Okay, we can talk about that as being a music, and it wasn't just someone talking about technology and doing arm fucking shadow puppets and shit. Yeah.
I think the most important thing is lead singer of Green Day. If you look at her in the black suit, he aped that entire look. She doesn't look like that. She only looks like that in one outfit with the eyeliner. They're almost dead ringers.
She's cuter, I think. Point being, though, again, much like the poem and much like a lot of Art Lord, if you take some time, open your mind, man. However, when it comes to Alex Winter, we don't get that.
Because that's not an interpretation.
No,
that's just.
I'm just saying. Because again, she's been making stuff for years, so I was kind of like, yeah, this is kind of like the Alex Winter of avant-garde, sound and performance, and thanks to Art Lord.
Alex Winter looks like he crawled out of her ass.
Jeez, man, that's a little harsh. I mean, maybe as a performance piece. I mean, I can see that.
I'm sure she'd be down. She'd probably get a fucking $1 million grant.
Thank you, Merely Jason, for the suggestion and for helping us expand our minds, or at least attempt to, and give us some new art that's challenging and makes us think.
Yep. Agreed.
Good episode back, guys. That'll wrap us up on episode 38 or 39. Meaningful Times with Friends. Thanks again. Great discussion as always. And I think we educated some people, whoever's coming back to us. Merely Jason, Spoolie D, Nathan Nation.
Booyah.
I've been Mean Dave. Have a good holiday into 2026. Oh, God. All right. Peace.